Hello everyone, it's History Behind the Warrior, and as always, welcome back to yet another Mortal Kombat History of episode, tackling yet another niche fan-beloved character, the cancelled and elusive demonic deity of the series, Belokk. Now when it comes to Belokk, this is actually a character that I've only ever touched on a handful of times, as he is a prime example of what could have been. So in today's video, we'll be talking about the character's troubled development, how exactly does he fit into the universe, as well as the lore implications behind him. Because whilst Belokk is a cancelled character, there's actually a rich amount of lore surrounding him, and even with his cancellation, he would go on to inspire yet another individual in Deadly Alliance, but this character was also cut in development. Even so, the very creation of Belokk creates a very interesting hierarchy within the Netherrealm, one that implies a bit of a power struggle that ever so softly touches on elder demons, greater demons, and other demonic deities. We'll be talking about that and exploring the depths of hell, just to understand how exactly would Belokk have fit into it, and what could have been some of the story elements that would have influenced him. Also keep in mind, with us tackling a much older character in the canon, we will be using the older established lore from the Midway era of games, as well as certain bits and pieces taken away from the reboot trilogy, as it gives us a more well-rounded coverage of this character. So, with that said, just before we do jump right into things, quick reminder as always that if you like what we do here and wish to see more, please don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up, as it really does support the channel in the algorithm. So without any further ado, let's just jump right into things. Starting off with the question of, who exactly was Belokk? Well, Belokk was a character created during the Midway era of games, more specifically Mortal Kombat Gold, the updated and somewhat ultimate version of Mortal Kombat 4. Now this installment in particular had a very heavy emphasis on the Netherrealm, with debuting characters like Shinnok and Quan Chi thrust front and center. Of course, following up on a previous plotline set up from MK3, as well as Mortal Kombat Mythology's Sub-Zero. So what was the fate of Belokk? Well, the details surrounding his creation are honestly bare at best, as they've never been entirely transparent of what became of him. But if I was to make sense of it, Belokk was conceptually designed to be a part of the new oncoming wave of Netherrealm characters, with Shinnok being the main antagonist, followed by his protege Quan Chi. But as for the purpose behind Belokk, we simply don't know, only that he derived from the Netherrealm. However, with his origins and ties to the realm of the undead, it does softly imply that he may have been in direct opposition to that of Lucifer, Netherrealm's overseer and protector, much like Raiden to that of Earthrealm. But we'll get into those narrative tidbits a bit later on. Now with Belokk tied to the release of Mortal Kombat Gold, this does mean that he was originally designed to be console exclusive, something not entirely new to the MK series, as the same thing would happen to both chameleons during MK3. And this is where things are very interesting, because he made it really far into development before his cut. And I'm not just simply talking at the concept art stage. I'm talking about the fact that Belokk not only had a full in-game model, but also a playable moveset. So what exactly happened here? Well, it's been said there's been a number of different contributing factors, as whilst MK4 did not have a hefty roster, the team was still relatively new from turning it from a 2D fighter into a 3D fighter. And of course, another contributing factor would be game balance, as it has been said that Belokk was created during the tail end of MK4's lifespan, and maybe they didn't have enough time in order to balance the character. Thus, another reason why he may have been left on the cutting room floor. And there have been other reports that when it came to Belokk, is that the team simply didn't like and weren't sold on the design. For one reason or another, he didn't fit the mold for what they were looking for. So in all honesty, Belokk's design was kind of doomed from the very start, as it seemed like issue after issue just kind of plagued the character's creation here, shoving what could have been many of his own ideas onto that of Quan Chi. However, this wouldn't be Midway's last take at a demon-esque character, because with the departure of John Tobias, and entering the 3D era through Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, Netherrealm would take another shot at this idea with the creation of the Elder Demon Baphomet. Now of course, as implied from the name, the Elder Demons were designed to be a dark counterpart to that of the Elder Gods, as MK4 would be the first time our eyes were graced with their appearance. Even so, with the character being scrapped during the concept art stages, Baphomet as well as the Elder Demons themselves simply exist as more of an idea than anything that's quite taken fruition here. But why did Baphomet never quite come to be? Well, it's kind of a similar boat with Belokk, as the details are incredibly scarce, but one of the contributing factors has been that they didn't feel entirely comfortable with including a character that, looked like the devil. So with the troubled history and development of Belokk covered, as well as yet another character he influenced that would later be cancelled, what are we able to put together and make sense of with him? Well, narratively, the creation of both Belokk as well as Baphomet creates an incredibly interesting hierarchy that resides within the Netherrealm, one that on paper, they've never actually fully explored in detail. So allow this little graphic I made here to make sense of it all. So at the bottom, we do have your more standard well-known Oni, beings that originate from the Netherrealm, that feature quite heavily in both the Midway and Reboot trilogy of games. They are disposable demonic units that heed the word and call of granted deities. So beings like Shinnok and Quan Chi. Now they themselves are beings of the 5th plane of hell, with honestly the biggest inconsistency here being their overall presentation, because they are blue hulking beasts during the Midway era of games, but during the Reboot trilogy take on a much more orange and demonic fossilized form. So different eras mean different depictions. However, it's actually possible that someone from the mortal plane can actually ascend to the status of an Oni, but they must have the vilest of souls in order to be banished to the Netherrealm like this. So characters like Dramin do fit that mold. Now above that, we do have your Wraiths, your Hell Spectres, and your Revenants. All individuals resurrected from the dead by a greater and grander being. So like your Quan Chi's as a prime example, powerful enslaved acolytes, but not the strongest within the Netherrealm, although there are a few outliers in that regard. And then above them, we do have your greater demons, so figures like Quan Chi and Nenra, and what I believe to be Belokk. But I promise you we'll touch on that just after this. These aren't just demons or Oni, but ones that have learned greater and grander magic that allow them to transcend beyond their peers. Because originally, Quan Chi was actually an Oni, but by learning the dark arts of magic through Shinnok, he would ascend to a higher position. Hence why he's nearly at the top of the pyramid here. But above these two, we do have Lucifer. And whilst we know very little about this figure, we do know that he was appointed as ruler and protector until he was overthrown by Shinnok. And keep in mind, whilst Shinnok does also sit up here, he's from a higher pantheon that was imprisoned away here. And of course, if we want to go that extra step beyond this, we do have the Elder Demons, but those are tragically unexplored in their own right. So how does Belokk fit into things here? Well, considering that he was supposed to be part of the entourage of characters introduced in MK4, I strongly do believe that Belokk was supposed to be some sort of general to Shinnok, to maybe act as the muscle to Quan Chi's magic, as the leaked images of Belokk we do have show him as quite a large figure. So maybe he might have served as a mini-boss of sorts. And here's the thing about creatures that derive from the Netherrealm. They are always lusting for power and hunting for that #1 spot. They want to be the overseer of this realm, as awful as it might be, with Quan Chi being a perfect example of this. Thus, with our knowledge and what we do have here with Belokk, I firmly believe that he may have been the one to overthrow Lucifer, whilst Quan freed Shinnok from his shackles, with both maybe later working against each other in pursuit for Shinnok's amulet. Again, this is all an idea, but by piecing these bits of information we know from the older existing pieces of lore, it makes so much more sense for what this character could have been. And if we want to stretch this idea a little bit further, and kind of somewhat overanalyze it, it's very possible that Belokk could have been one of the kings or rulers of the Netherrealm, because the Netherrealm during the Midway era did draw a lot of influence from Dante's Inferno, where there was different circles and planes to this hell. An idea that would softly return in MK11 through the implementation of Spawn. So these ideas still do exist in one way, shape and form. And of course, with us now in the new era, and Shinnok effectively neutralized, on paper, it looks like Lucifer might actually exist in the Netherrealm. We simply won't find out up until the next installment. But like that everyone, that has been it for the very elusive devil of the series, Belokk. And this has been a particularly fun video for me, as he's simply just one of those characters really unexplored in the MK mythos, but has an unbelievable amount of rich mythology behind him. one that honestly allows the Netherrealm to flourish, as the demons and figures that do come from it are largely reflective of it, all having a lust for power and desire for conquest, even if it means turning on their own. So with that said and everything covered here, what are your thoughts on Belokk? How would you like to see him return and be reintegrated? And what do you think was his original plan before he did get scrapped? Because as I pointed out and highlighted, he fits in a very peculiar spot in the hierarchy of characters. So please do comment down below, as I'd love to hear what you have to say. But for now everyone, that has been it for me. Again, if you do have any suggestions for your cult beloved characters, please do put them down below, as we are slowly working through them bit by bit. So as always, stay strong, stay well, and I'll catch you in the next one.